Welcome back. Well, according to the North American Registry of Midwives, 10% of women giving birth every year do so at home using this practice called midwifery. 3 years ago, Wyoming became one of 11 states in the country prohibiting their use. People who support that law say Sue Merrill's case is an example of why they do that. In 2006, Merrill was assisting a birth in a hotel on Fleischle Boulevard in Cheyenne. According to a probable cause affidavit filed with the court, the mother ruptured a membrane, and for 33 hours, Merrill failed to seek medical care, allegedly telling the mother things would, quote, be okay. They weren't. The baby Merrill was attempting to deliver died, and Susan Merrill was then charged with negligent homicide and is waiting to go on trial for that charge. Joining me here on scene to talk more about Sue Merrill and the kind of notion of midwifery is Ellen Piver, who has both used Sue Merrill before and who's a strong supporter of midwifery. Yes. Is that correct?
Yes.
And first and foremost, so that I don't get all the calls and emails, it is called midwifery. We talked about this.
Yes, it is.
And tell me first when you decided to use a midwife for your own situation.
Well, we decided after having 3 births in a hospital, and then through word of mouth, we found that Sue Merrill had a very good standing in the community.
And so talk about why specifically you decided to use it, have birth at home as opposed to the hospital.
Well, there were many reasons, but the interventions really bothered my husband and I. Things that were unnecessary, such as episiotomy, drugs. Here we're told to be drug-free, and then they hook you up to an intravenous line and feed you and your baby all the drugs you're willing to handle, because they do, well, it's just a society of fear. You can't handle this pain. Well, we can, and we do just fine.
And you've had 6 children, three of whom you've used a midwife, is that correct?
Yes.
Talk about Sue herself. When you used her, how professional she was. Did you find her to be competent?
Oh, she's very competent in that she shows up as soon as I'm in active labor and stays with me. So it's not like I'm getting to know Sue and then all of a sudden someone else is going to come in and catch our baby. Sue is the person who's going to be the one who helps me deliver the baby. She's with me through the active labor. She's monitoring the baby the whole time. And also I'm allowed to do what I want, my choice for how I want the birth to be.
And she's really become a friend of yours through these years. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, she has.
So talk to me about the day you found out that she had been charged with this crime.
Well, first of all, it was upsetting because if you look at the mortality rates for the United States, hospitals lose babies all of the time. Also, I've never known a hospital to warranty my baby. So once I leave their hospital and my baby dies, that's not necessarily their fault. And so I looked at that with Sue in that this is not her fault. Any parent can go to a pediatrician at any sign that their baby is ill, and that's really up to the parent.
And so the day you found out, did you talk to Sue?
No, I did not talk to Sue. I had friends that had used her, and we got together and decided, gosh, we need to support her because we know what kind of a loving person she is and how she has done births for free for other people. That this is simply either the wrong information has been put out or something, because she's a great citizen of this great state of Wyoming, and to lose her and to lose her practice would be a shame.
What about when Wyoming was changing the law? Were you involved in that? What were your thoughts on that? Did you know about it?
No, we were not given any voice whatsoever, and I don't think that this was something that was changed on behalf of us or for our safety, because statistics show that home birth is at least as safe as a hospital, if not more so, for low-risk women.
In fact, you said that Sue Merrill may have assisted in as many as 400 births. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is that just from what she says?
No, you can go down to the state health department and get all of those statistics if you'd like to. She has proof of the babies that she has, delivered. And
at the top of this segment, we talked about how about 10% of mothers do this. Does that seem like a correct figure to you?
I don't know that it is correct. I do know that it is not a safety precaution in that 96% of all births are normal and will proceed without any intervention whatsoever by anyone. So that leaves 4% of high-risk women.
Does it surprise you that Wyoming is one of only 11 states that now prohibit this?
Yes, I do. I think they're very much behind the times, given the fact that Esther Hobart Morris, we're the equality state. She helped women get the right to vote, and here we don't even get to decide our options for childbirth. I find that somewhat ludicrous.
And so now you kind of talked about how you and the other women who've used Sue Merrill are kind of rallying around her cause, contributing to her defense fund. Talk about the conversations you've had with her since then and how you've supported her.
The conversations we have is in letting the entire United States know that this injustice is happening. Also to make people better educated to understand that without midwives, the underserved and the underinsured simply have nowhere to go. that we need these midwives for safety reasons in a state that's the lowest per capita in the nation. And who are these people to decide that they're going to take this away from us and make us give birth alone? We have a problem with that.
And I want to talk more about the specifics of the Sue Merrill case and the specifics of the charges she's facing. We'll do that after the break. Well, I spoke with Susan Merrill yesterday. She, of course, denies the allegations but declined the opportunity to appear on this show to talk about them. Welcome back. Well, the district attorney has charged Susan Merrill with negligent homicide and practicing medicine without a license. Her case has been bound over to district court where a jury will ultimately decide. Susan Merrill is currently free on bond but has retained legal counsel, and she says she intends to fight this case until the end. And joining me back here on set to talk more about that is Ellen Piver, who's used Susan Merrill before. And the reason she's going to fight it is both because she thinks she did nothing wrong and because this is her livelihood, really.
It is her livelihood, but again, it's a calling. It's not something that she profits on very much. It's a whole 10-month ordeal and longer when she stays in touch with these pregnant women and then after they give birth.
And Ellen, I know I talked to you about this last week, and it's kind of the tough question for those of her supporters. Do you have any empathy for the parents who for 33 hours, allegedly, she was telling them you're okay, when in fact they weren't? Can you understand the parents' position?
Oh, I totally understand their decisions and the feelings that they have. My problem is that these tests are made available by Sue. If you'd like to go to a gynecologist at any time or an obstetrician, you can and be tested for any of the things that you may fear or have problems with. But we have to understand also that Group B strep has late onset sometimes. So babies that are even a month old can die from Group B strep. This is not something that is unknown to most of us. We're familiar with it. We also know that babies have immunity through the mother from Group B strep many times. So this isn't something that affects very many babies. And as far as I know, when I gave birth in the hospital, they never tested me a single time for Group B strep.
And let me make sure I understand that. You're saying that during the birthing process, if Susan Merrill thinks there may be something wrong, she affords you the opportunity as a mother to say, I need a gynecologist, I need a doctor.
Right.
And
if a grandmother calls in and says, hey, what about this? At any time you can say, hey, I want to go to the hospital and have this checked out. But again, that's the neat thing about home birth. It's left in the parent's lap, and it's their responsibility to decide what they'd like to do next. She'll give you all of the different choices that you can make, but she leaves those choices up to the parents.
And so because really she identified this, at least according to court documents, she identified this at the beginning, said it looks like we have this going on. So she identified it. They could have done that is what you're saying.
They could have done that. As far as I know, she did not identify it other than to say that if you look at the statistics, Group B strep does not affect all babies at all. And in all the 400 births that she's had, we have not seen a problem with that, and certainly with none of mine. But again, the hospital did not routinely check for Group B strep when I gave birth at the hospital.
And I thought that was one of the interesting points you made. You seem to suggest, and again, it's an allegation, that the reason this law was changed had nothing to do with the safety of these children, had to do with maybe special interest.
I think so, because it makes no sense that we were not notified of them even wanting to change the law, and it certainly wasn't parents up there trying to change it. So as far as we know, it was someone in the legislature who changed this.
What's next for you, and by you I mean the collective you?
Well, the collective us would like to bring awareness to the entire United States that the 5 European countries with the best mortality rates, that it's midwives who preside over 70% of those. And we're behind the times. Let's get with it. Colorado already has laws protecting midwives, and so does Montana.
And by protecting, you mean, and I checked this out yesterday, the midwives are required to register. In some states, they're required to be certified, meet specific licensing requirements. You're saying there is a middle ground.
There's a wonderful middle ground, and also this makes midwives more accepted in the hospitals. They're not mistreated and disrespected. Also, it's good for doctors to understand that we have choices, and if you disrespect us in the hospital, we will go other places. Right now, people are going across state lines to have a baby. This is ridiculous.
And that's really what happened here, because this baby was birthed in a hotel room. That struck me as unusual.
Yes, and of course, if Nebraska was nicer to their midwives, obviously these parents would have had their baby in Nebraska. They couldn't. And so our hearts go out to these people. First of all, it's government at this point that's keeping us from having our ability to choose what we're going to do and how to do that safely. And the safest place is at home, and that's what statistics show over and over. Women simply have antibodies already to all of the bacteria, viruses in their home. They also send that on to their child through breast milk. And so why would we go to a hospital where illness after illness is there? That's what hospitals for, medical situations. And birthing, because like I said, 96% are not a medical situation. They're normal. This is a normal body function.